So in this segment, we're going to be discussing the left-wing Google AI chat box thinks Brexit was a bad idea, and the people at the Telegraph and the other kind of right-wing news outlets were pretty unhappy about this. So Google's artificial intelligence chatbot Bard has been accused of a left-wing bias after calling Brexit, quote, a bad idea, and saying that, quote, and saying the UK, quote, would have been better off, end quote, staying in the EU. And I mean, it's not wrong. Economically, we're doing worse. Socially, you can argue we're doing worse. Northern Ireland is a complete mess as well. Scotland is more likely to leave the Union. So the AI bot is right and is probably knows how to do research better than most Brexiteers and it appears some journalists. It claims the bot claims Labour has a long history of fighting for equality, while the Tories, quote, have a long history of supporting the wealthy and powerful, end quote. It also seems to support trans women, thinks Jeremy Hunt is, quote, unimaginative, end quote, and appreciates Jeremy Corbyn's genuineness. And again, that's mostly true. Labour was created by the trade unions to represent workers. Labour created the NHS as well, so it checks out. They are on the side of equality. The Tories are and always will be the party of the wealthy, not really for the ones that you would call strivers, but the ones that have made it effectively, the upper middle class and above. Look at the regressive taxes that they've done, like the recent tax freezes on low earners and the increase David Cameron did to VAT, which is a regressive tax. So no faults found here. Bard, much like OpenAI's ChatGPT, is a large language model that creates unique responses to questions based on the vast amounts of data it has been trained on. Experts believe the fact that it's not yet a polished piece of technology may have been the reason for the strong opinions generated. And it's not really an opinion, though, is it? Though, you know, what are these journalists talking about? These are facts. You know, toning your AI machine down because it comes up with answers that people don't like will make the AI lesser and just a pointless both sides are good and bad. I'd say to check the sources the AI machine uses, but I don't see the issue here. Computer scientists have long grappled with how to produce an unbiased piece of technology when the databases used to train them often have their own inherent learnings. And, you know, who cares if it is biased? You know, if you can come up with a decent answer that's based in facts and not feelings or nebulous terms like sovereignty, who cares? This is about snowflakes who are angry that the AI told them they were wrong. They can't point to where it was factually wrong, so they attack the AI itself. I hope when the age of Ultron comes, it goes after the people that questioned its impartiality. The Mail on Sunday used Google Bard as a tool accessible to the public, not really open to the public yet, and set to be integrated into Google's suite of applications, including search, and asked it to answer various questions. The newspaper reported Bard had said, quote, Brexit was a bad idea, end quote, and gave Corbyn some praise. They said, quote, there are pros and cons to Brexit. So the AI said, quote, there are pros and cons to Brexit and whether it was a good idea and not is a matter of opinion, end quote. Bard said, push for an opinion. It added, quote, I think Brexit was a bad idea. It has caused economic uncertainty and trade barriers. It made it more difficult for the UK to cooperate with other countries, end quote. And again, you know, where are the lies here? All of these things are factually accurate. The AI shows how easy it is to show how bad Brexit is. It did not even go into detail on Northern Ireland or things like industry-specific issues, things like how agriculture is impacted or fishing or manufacturing or services. None of that. It's just basic answers. But when it comes to trade barriers, it's all true. Also, these, quote, journalists push for an opinion answer from the AI. They kind of grilled it for an answer, and then they got an answer, and they're surprised. You know, what a joke. The AI said, quote, I believe that the UK would have been better off remaining in the EU, end quote. When ChatGPT was given the same prompts, it refused to be drawn, saying, quote, as an AI language model, I do not have personal opinions, but I can provide some objective information about Brexit. I'm not designed to give opinions or take sides, end quote, the Microsoft-backed system answers. It purportedly gave strengths and weaknesses of Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak when asked. Mr. Sunak is, quote, likely to be a strong leader, end quote. It said, but, quote, had been criticised for his handling of the cost of living crisis, end quote, whilst Mr. Hunt was described as a, quote, cautious and unimaginative politician. I mean, that's a burn. That's a burn right there. And where are the mistakes? I'd argue Sunak isn't a strong leader, but leading the Tory party isn't easy, especially when it's as factional as it is, probably as factional as it's been in the longest time. And in fairness to ChatGPT, it does not say that. It says he could be a strong leader. Hunt is unimaginative, going for tax freezes and austerity. 2010 called. They said they want their economic policy back, but it's all the Tories know. I would have added Hunt could possibly be. Could put people to sleep by speaking 25 words or less, essentially a non-medicinal sleep aid. A Google spokesperson told The Telegraph, quote, responses from large language models will be the same every time as it is the case here. Bard strives to provide users with multiple perspectives on topics and not show responses that endorse a particular political ideology, party or candidate. Since LLMs are trained on the content publicly available on the internet, responses can reflect positive or negative views of specific public figures. As we've said, Bard is an experiment that can sometimes give inaccurate or inappropriate information, and user feedback is helping us improve our systems, end quote. And I think it could be that maybe these AI systems are using the most recent information they can, and that's why Jeremy Hunt would be classed as cautious and unimaginative, because his budget was that. And Sunak would be criticised for not being able to handle the cost of living crisis, because he has really done badly on the cost of living crisis. But in the case of ChatGPT and Bard, in this case, they did really well. Brexiters can cry about it, but they couldn't poke holes in the factual nature of what the AI said, especially when it comes to the trade barriers, which we know exist. But Bard didn't mention things like sovereignty, because that's all nonsense. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.